Okay, folks, good morning. Happy Saturday. Off to an earlier than normal start. That's good. And if you don't like it, well, then just show up later. Just show up at your normal time. Okay, so this is what we did last night. Let's clean these figures up. Put the magnets on the bottom of them. Of course, we're going to do some quality control as we go, but our intent, in case we miss something, the intent is to base these guys next. So let's. I got a little bit of that stuff left, and then I got a whole new container of it. Or I do. I just got one. I lied. I got two. Yeah, this stuff's... We're going to finish this up, then we're going to use one of these. This is our basing of choice. Now, I was happy with Liquitex and they stopped making it. Not a sustainable material. Whatever. Fine, don't sell it. I'll find somebody else that wants to make a product like that. Let's see, I'm extremely right-handed. I'm trying to think, do I want to move over here and then base them over here? I think so. So let me, my jewelry's still over here. Let's move them all over here. Various stages of these guys. And hopefully we don't have a internet that wants to misbehave. Damn woodland ceilings, tough shit everywhere. Let's do this like this. All right, we got this. The backup one is nearby. Let's get some brushes that aren't great to move this stuff around with. Ones that have been abused. This does not need to be here. Okay, I think we're good to go to move forward. Somebody's falling down on the job. Well, asshole, you get to go first. Let's make sure. Their cutting process at Litco sometimes is grainy is probably the best way to describe it. Oh, let me make sure I got the right chat on here. There might be a way to default to that. I don't know. I'm not looking into it. Why did I... This just proves that I'm blind. I took this with me. Spatula oblongata. All right. Speaking of which, we have some of those that came free in this set. They're not free, they're just no additional charge. Exactly. And I really don't have much of a use for them. It's set now. Mr. Ben, good morning. Should be an interesting weekend because we have a... I like how they like to worry everybody about shit, you know? Oh, you could like fucking die, you know? Well, if people are so worried about dying, you think they'd drive better on the road. But that cyclone that may form is going. If you look at the pattern right now, if you want a clue where I live, it's going like right over where I live. But I'm not worried about it. And the timing of those things is always off. It's like it's going to get there by this day. It's always delayed a little bit. It's going to make my work week interesting next week. Because, you know, they won't make a decision. They'll be like, well, we don't know if we're going to be open. They won't make a decision until the end. Well, I'll make my own decisions. I'll make my own decisions whether or not I'll go in. But we were going to have a cleanup day anyways for today in the garage, or pickup day, which we're going to do anyways. We definitely have to do one now, so we got to make room for the vehicles. Basically take all the stuff in the center and then move it to the end, which is good because that's what's keeping me from the next stage of doing this game, which is to get the tables. I got nowhere to put them because we got stuff everywhere, so that was going to happen anyways. I'm not looking forward to a couple of days of people just acting like the apocalypse is going on. You know, well, I live in a smaller town now, or really a suburb of the other town. So, you know, if you misbehave here, they'll shoot you. You know, it's not like there aren't as many hippies here. No, we got this neighborhood. I would say half of the people in the neighborhood are retired. So you got a bunch of like Gladys Kravitzes like looking out like, hey, I got one old guy that when I run into him on the way to work, he's a nosy fuck, but he doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it because he's an old school redneck dude. And he's like, I noticed your daughter's going out and she's wearing scrubs. Is she working? I said, yeah, she's volunteering at a doctor's over the summer, getting her hours that they're supposedly having to do. I guess it's not good enough for them to like go to all the medical stuff. She's not studying to be a doctor or anything, but she's doing something in the medical field. She doesn't know exactly just what yet, but you know they want them to get some hours working in the industry, which makes sense because you might realize I hate wearing scrubs. You know, like that's actually a good idea. So you don't go like, you know, me, and I'm like, I hate wearing a fucking hard hat. You know, I think there's something that you dislike about every job, you know. Even Ben might actually dislike something about what he does. I mean, I hate being able to wear whatever the hell I want to all day long. No, your problem probably is that you may have trouble distinguishing between being on the clock and off the clock because if you're working from home. Like, I don't have that problem. I don't do work stuff here. I don't. I mean, unless it's an extreme emergency, I don't get calls here. I don't conduct business here, you know. But the downside is I have zero flexibility. I gotta be there when I gotta be there, and I gotta leave when I gotta leave, you know. So there's ups and downs to everything, but if you told me I could work wearing this, man, give me a pay cut. Anyhow, we we got some nosy people in the neighborhood, which is fine because it's not like we're up to no good. And he always comes in and wants to talk, and I kind of make it my goal to make him leave. Because, like, he catches me and, like, you know, he kind of cheers me up a little bit when I'm talking to him. So he brings up one thing, we talk about that, I bring up another couple things. Okay, I gotta go. That's how I run the fucker off. I had a friend of mine these people would call in the neighborhood and on the phone, and he made it his goal to make them hang up. You know, I guess he was just, like, lonely. Did you watch those Fred Dibna? I didn't. They tried making him wear a hard hat. He went flying about 5 minutes. Fred Dibna. Let me put it in big letters. No, I forgot. Fred Dibna, damn it. I mean, unless I'm watching stuff at lunchtime, which is really rushed if I come home, I really don't. I don't watch anything, you know. So he's a stand-up comedian guy, huh? Okay, well, I can always use a good laugh. Nope. I still stand by what I say. That storm could turn into a Category 11. It could come over here and kill us all and destroy our house. But I will still stand by we're in the safest part of Florida. It just, storms don't come here. And when they come here, they're like, you know, it's like blowing through a straw. You know, it's like, it's not that big of a deal. There's not normally any flooding issues. So I'll leave it at that. You know, it's not like what you see they always show you the worst stuff on television. Yeah, I'm not by the seashore and storm surge and all that stuff. That's, you know, we're an hour and a half inland. So we could have an Armageddon storm. This would have been the only time in my entire lifetime that I've lived in Florida that would have happened. So I'm not concerned. You know, you could have a tree go down. Well, there's nothing you can do about that other than not have any trees. And I think this house has less tree issues than the other one. But there, I brought it up. You know, some people say, don't say that. You mean don't bring up really unlikely things that could happen? I think it makes more sense to bring them up and saying, nothing's going to happen. That's when you eat your fucking words. But you say, yep, we're all going to die. And then you don't. You're like, hey, Messiah. Hey, if I die over the weekend, I don't have to go to work. Yes. One for the win column. He's the steeplejack. I don't know what that means. Great stuff to show your safety inspector. One mistake up here, it's half a day out with the Undertaker. Have you seen? There's this video I came across. I'll have to show this. I'm going to look this up right now, so get prepared to write this down. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I'm going to look it up. That's why I like to not film with the phone, because I have access to that. There was this safety video, and it's in German, and it looks like it's done in 1979. And I'll tell you what it is. You need to look it up. I think it's this right here. Look it up. It's called Klaus the Forklift Driver, and it's a short film, like 10 minutes long. It's like a parody on a safety video, and it actually has, if this is to be trusted at all, a Google rating of 92%. It's very unique. It's very gory. It's over the top gory. There, I spoiled it for you. But it's like Monty Python-esque type gory, But the last scene is pretty fucking funny. I know the one you're gonna say. It's like Hans or something. That's right. Yep. Okay, so you've seen it. I don't know how I came across that, but well, I don't work in a forklift type environment like that. I work in somewhere that, if you stay away from stuff, nothing's going to hit you. It's like, all this stuff's going on over there. I'm over here. What's the big deal? Okay, so this is Scott. Some generic Americano dude. You weren't on here last night when I was talking about, I got lots of Americans to paint, and I think I'm going to start creating these people where there's this gangs of New York angst. I'm going to have my mix. I got a McGillicuddy, a Malarkey, and a Mahoney. I haven't painted any of those, but I'm going to get those three guys. And then they're going to be at odds with, some Italian guys. And I don't know, what else can we mix that's, I guess, Poles. Were there a lot of Poles? And although, I don't know that I've ever met a Pole. Yeah, I have. I've met a Polish person. They don't have them down here in the South. They must eat them or something like that. I don't know. Polish people are all like in really arid places. Okay. Mr. Scott's done. Next Americano. Let's get the old Mar guy let's make sure we don't have any burrs on this. Burrs with the, they cut this almost like they laser cut these magnets and they get crumbly. The bell going off and the bell fell off eventually. You've seen it. I haven't seen it in a while, but once I saw it, I'm like, oh, you got to see this. You got to see this. You got to. Mitch got to see it. All that kind of stuff, Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the worst thing about hard hats is you see some video of these people that just all they do is move paper around. They're accountants or whatever the fuck they are. And, they're going to have a ribbon cutting ceremony. And hey, give me a hard hat. Put a hard hat. Fucker ain't lifted a shovel or used a toilet brush ever in their fucking life. And they're wearing a hard hat like they're, holding a shovel like, the fuck out of here. Go count your beans, dickhead. I had a dream. I don't remember it very, very well, but I had a dream last night or early this morning. I mean, because it just fucking happened. That somebody got offended on. I was something about my show, and then somebody had took me to task about something they got offended on my show. You need to get some thicker skin, man. Or maybe I'm just being honest and everybody else is just being fake. How about them apples? It's too difficult to try to be somebody you're not. Yeah, it had something to do with somehow this video was worked this way. Well, I'm excited to base these guys, Couldn't wait to get up and do this. Even though this is a bit tedious. And it's just part of the deal. But I did do a search. One of the things that we talked about last night was I was looking at some scenarios for the desert, and there's one of them that actually has a bunch of vehicles that are disabled. I figured, well, this is an opportunity to try maybe some of these 3D printers that look kind of 3D printing services that look kind of shaky. You know, get some vehicles for the specific purpose of using them as wrecks and find out if they look okay. And all of the best printers seem to be either in the United Kingdom or France. And the shipping from France is twice that from the United Kingdom. Somebody offended by basing tanks. Yeah, some guy was. Some people have a hard on for that, man. Base your own fucking tanks, man. It might be being. It's like me being offended by somebody, wargaming in 12mm scale. It's their life, man. It's whatever. I think the basing of the vehicles is about 50-50. Like I've said, I'm fine. I can go either way on the vehicles. The problem is there's some vehicles that have to be on bases, and then I don't want some of them on and some of them not on. But my Shermans, I'd be fine with them not based. I don't need them to be based. I mean, you have to base the figures. And even if you don't base the figures, they still have a little base. So too many people are like in search of a fucking crusade, Like, what's your problem? Your job's not demanding enough? You have too much energy after you're working at the salt mines? I don't want to cause any trouble when I leave, when I'm done with work. Just leave me alone. I did a search on, Facebook is really weird. For those of you that are on Facebook, you'll not hear from, you'll be like, what the hell happened to that person? It'll be like some hobby guy, like some guy that I follow and I go back and forth with sometimes. Not ugly or anything, just like, just kind of seeing, what they're up to and everything. And you don't hear from them for like 2 years. I'm like, did he fucking die? Because that could happen. So I was thinking of this person. And I'm like, I wonder what happened to so and so. So I go on his page, and I'm like, nah, I haven't been seeing his posts. So you only see like the posts from like just a few different people. It's kind of annoying, but that's happened with several people. I'm like, wait, what happened to so and so? Oh shit, they've been posting all along. Why don't I see this post? Because I'll pretty much accept anybody's friend request, but I'll look at their page and I go, okay, you're not like spouting a bunch of like, stuff, whether it's politics, it could be politics I agree with. I don't want to hear about that stuff because it's a never ending battle. You're never going to have a solution. So I don't want that crap. You know, um, I'll look. It's like, man, all you do is post like problems. Like I don't need that. I don't need it on my feed. I pretty much use Facebook only for the hobby. I mean, there's people that I know that aren't hobby related, and they're probably thinking, "Man, you need to stop posting pictures of my figures." I'm like, "That's what I do. This is, well, honestly, they probably don't comment on my stuff anyway, so they probably don't even see my posts unless they go to my page. You know, sorry, this is what I do. Sorry, not sorry. It's like there's other people, all they do is post political crap. Like, all right. Was just looking through my grandfather's old unit muster's roll and one name Adolf Vincenzi. Guy must have gotten damn heart. Top chat and live chat. Must have got so much dick. Adolf Vincenzi, yeah. Maybe. Grandfather's old unit. What unit was your grandfather in? He must have gotten a bunch of hell, unless your grandfather was in the 3rd Bersaglieri Regiment. Hey, it could be. You could have an Italian grandfather. My parents were friends with this one guy that they knew that was the father of somebody they knew, and they were actually Italy, and he was actually a war veteran, and he was actually a fairly well-known pilot. And I never got to know him. I never got to meet him, which is okay. I mean, in the Italian Air Force, he was a SM-79 pilot. He was well enough known that he was well enough known. He was well known enough. There we go. That somebody, I believe, made a print of his plane going on he was a torpedo bomber, SM-79 torpedo bomber. And I never got to meet him. Could have showed him my time. I had ships at that point, long time. This was 20 years ago, probably. And maybe he'd get a kick out of my ships and stuff. I had one guy in the old neighborhood who always would walk around. He'd been in the U.S. Navy, and I brought him in one time. Really, really tall dude. Really, really tall dude. I'm like average height. 5'11" and shrinking. And this guy was like really, really tall. And said, oh, you were in the World War II in the Navy. And I asked him what he was on. So I brought him in and saw my ships, and he was like, like, some people are really excited about what they do or about the whole thing, and some people just do a little piece of the pie. So it just depends, I like all the gear. I just don't want to do any of the push-ups or the killing or hiding in foxholes. Well, 2nd Armored Dragoons or whatever they had named at the time, they kept changing the name. F Troop 2nd Cavalry, U.S. 2nd Cav, that is. Oh, that's right. You had an American grandfather. Okay. F Troop 2nd Cavalry. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're called now. I'll tell you what, U.S. armored units have stupid symbols. That's right, I said it. Look, the people that are in there don't design them, Let's do a triangle, and we'll do a 3-color triangle like it was the primary colors, and we'll do a little symbol inside one of the triangles, and that'll be the second one. And the third is the same thing, but you guys suck, man. Even the Russians had better symbols than you guys. It's not to knock the veterans. They didn't design it. Just like I was talking about Marine uniforms, which is stupid looking. Well, the poor Marines didn't design their uniform. Go watch the Pacific. Tell me if those guys look cool in their uniforms. They don't. It doesn't mean I'm not, we should be disrespectful to them. I'm just saying that, poor guys had to wear fucking pajamas that didn't fit. Hugo Boss can't design everybody's uniforms for him. Hey, if you have good-looking uniforms, you may be a Nazi. So maybe it's better not to have good-looking uniforms. The Russian uniform's not necessarily bad. I bet their thread count's about 3. Second squadron, second cav, not first unit to get Chafies. Cool, cool. That's a cool tank. That's a cool little tank. Most badass light tank ever. I wouldn't even call it a light tank. 75 millimeter is a light tank. Relatively good looking vehicle too. But I'll say it again, most vehicles are attractive. There's a handful that are just like, what the hell were you thinking? But, okay, so that is Mr. Marr. Who are we going to do next? Who's up next? Let's do Ludlow. This is the guy that took the bullet, right? Yeah, he's got a dent on his helmet. He's definitely uber shiny. Yeah, the U.S. The infantry divisions are okay, but the armor division symbols are stupid. U.S. armor divisions. I'll tell you to somebody's face. And they shouldn't get offended unless you're the asshole that designed those two. Now, that guy's probably dead. I wonder why they did that. I mean, the British have great armor division, the units. We're not going to talk about the Nazi stuff because all their stuff was, they're masters of propaganda. But all the British units look cool. You know, even the Canadian ones aren't great, but at least have a maple leaf. They have to have something, not just tricolor bullshit. You know? I wonder why they did that. Because the U.S. infantry divisions have symbols that are, you know, some are better than others, but, you know, at least they're different. But I don't know what the hell they do now. Now it's like armored battle groups, or I don't know. This asymmetrical warfare thing. All bets are off when you're doing all that stuff. Now, I need to go get a beverage. So I'm doing a lot of talking and not a lot of drinking. Ask your boss for a compromise. You get to wear a World War II helmet of your choice instead of the dorky hard hat. I don't want to wear one at all. I'm hot all the fucking time. I'll be right back. This is another reason you magnetize the bottoms. You can put them on here, and then you don't have your fingers all up in it. It's easier to work with. I'll wipe this down. And I gotta go to Pussyfoot's Paradise today, and I'm almost out of black paint. Those these things took a lot of freaking paint. I'm surprised. I figured I wouldn't take any paint. Yeah, it did. Well, I hope those things come into use. If not, I learned another skill. Found a way to get a hot glue gun in my hand. So right now, I'm not looking forward to picking up the garage, but that's one step closer to getting tables out there. And I think they come like 8 foot by 30 inches, so I'm probably looking to getting 3 of them, so we can do 90 by 8 foot. So it'll almost be 8 by 8. Short myself 6 inches. Well, I'm not making it out of freaking plywood and shit like that. That's too expensive and too cumbersome. Get those ones that are made out of that semi-hollow vacuum form plastic. Those are easy to move around. I was on my show yesterday. The wife was at the big box place, whatever you want to call it. She's like, "Hey, you got this special on?" No, I was actually on my way to the movie. That's what it was. We were on our way to the movie last weekend. She's like, "Hey, they got these generators for. Should I pick one up?" And they're small generators, basically to run a refrigerator. And the price on it seemed to be right. So, well, we can return it if we don't need to. If you don't use it. So normally you'd be like, well, we don't need to use it because there's no storms coming. Like as soon as you buy one, it's insurance for having any storms. So we'll see. I'm still not convinced we're going to need to use it, but we're probably going to have to get the cars in the garage just to keep them from limbs or flying debris. You know, little flying debris, but still. I don't want to get scratches and shit on my car. Okay. And let's put a couple of rocks. Rocks for sale. Get your fresh rocks here. So you have an American grandfather. So what, he go to Europe and then he saw something he liked? He's one of those Americans that are over here. Okay, Mr. Ludlow. Who are we going to do next? Let's get Calvin. I like this figure. He's like in a hurry to go put a bayonet in some Nazi bastard. Why using a plastic water bottle? Say, because I reuse it all day long. My little splurge. I didn't get on the bike yesterday, so I can get on the bike today. Trying to get in the habit of at least doing that every other day. I didn't feel like doing it after work. I would have cut into my painting time. I knew these things were here. I'm like, let's get this stuff done. I wasn't very excited to base these guys because I saw like I don't look very good. And then when you're done with them, you're like, these guys look pretty good. Sometimes you have to stick it through and like finish a project to see that what it really looks like. Not jump to conclusions halfway in between it. That's still connected. This thing tilted over so I couldn't see it. No, your American mother met your father at a bus station in Connecticut when my dad was on a trip hunting for rare Motown vinyls he couldn't get in the UK. Wow. Well, there's a interesting story. You couldn't get Motown music in the UK, huh? Does nobody read posts before they comment on them? No, they don't. Let me put this video. Let me put this video back up so I can see that there's movement over there. Your American mother. American mother. American mother. Oh, okay. My mother wasn't American. North American, but I was trying to explain that to somebody. Somebody that, I forget who it was, but it was somebody who wasn't from the United States. And I go, anybody that says North American, that's United States. Nobody refers to, I know Canada's in North America, but Canada's Canada. And I'm not trying to knock them or anything. It's just, Canada's Canada. North American, American, all that refers to the United States. Hey, I didn't make the rules. That's just how it is. You want to confuse people, start calling somebody from Mexico a North American. Mexico's not North America. It is, but it isn't. You refer to somebody, North American person over there. You mean that Mexican working on that house? I said, yeah, Mexico's in North America. I said, yeah, but that's not what you refer to those people as. Sorry. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what, I'm just trying to de-confuse people. sort of less glamorous than Indiana Jones rifling through old basements in LA and getting a guide around the city. Native American spirit guides. Yeah. That spirit guide has different meanings now than before. It's like, yeah, man, what do you see? Oh, man, the spirits. Whiskey's my spirit guide. Native, you mean First Peoples? I actually don't like anything with that American behind it, other than North American. That's okay. I'm okay with North American, but I don't like Cuban American, Italian American, African American. I just like American. Just just encompasses everything. Although technically, you may get a pass with Anglo American. Although I bet if you told a lot of people that you're Anglo American, they wouldn't know what the fuck that is. I said, what does that mean? Isn't the guy that hung himself? Isn't that crazy? That's what I know him as. The comedian that hung himself. Wasn't he Anglo American? Robin Williams? I think he was Anglo American. The Indian chap prayed to his ancestors' bones in the back garden and then hopped on his moped with my father to track down the soul music. Oh. He hopped. Your father hopped on the back of a moped with. Really? Back then they let Indian people drive? Hey, it's England, you know. What do they call those things that we saw a bunch of in Mexico? Tuk-tuks. Those little motorcycle with the two people that can be in the back. I mean, two people feel like if they're making out with each other, really narrow thing. But they had those things all over Mexico, like little El Cheapo taxi cabs, tuk-tuks. I don't know what they're called, but that's what they're called in India. Sounded like you lifted that story from what was the Octopussy? Remember when he got the Indian guy, whatever his name is, he's driving that thing, right? I think that's the movie it's in. Yeah, the Indian dude. The Indian dude that spoke perfect English. Yeah, he ended up getting offed. Yeah, it's not good to be a sidekick in one of the Bond movies. You're probably gonna get freaking killed. Somebody make Indian troops in 20 mil? I bet they do. But that would be a hoot. Play Japanese and Indians doing all the voices. That'd be fun. Except the officers, right? The officers were still Anglo British. That's like double dip British. I think so. I don't know if the sergeants were. I was looking at Japanese uniforms the other day, and I'm like, all right, what color to paint Japanese? And if you look at Japanese uniform, whatever it is, it's almost like a greenish dunkelgelb. I bet this is it right here. Yep, look at that. Bam! Japan uniform. It looks it's greenish like the dunkelgelb. But I think this is a case kind of like the Africa Corps. Like their uniform was kind of a greenish uniform, but as soon as it went over, it faded like a mother, and it turned into this. You know, because Africa Corps uniform was was almost this type of a color, and ended up fading. It faded to a nicer color than that. That's kind of like, you know, it had me thinking about the Japanese the other day. Found or do some Indians. Yeah, but they're all the same pose, right? They're all the same pose. All like, I was down here with my rifle, you know? I'm sure somebody makes them. That'd be a good thing to... Because they'd look good, right? They'd wear like khakis and stuff, and they'd have they'd have the wraps on their head. Which honestly, I think it looks pretty cool. I painted a fair amount of Indian troops. And, you know, Asian Indians. And early war miniatures. There you go. I think you're right. I think they do make them. Are they back in? Is their website back up? I know they were part of the internet apocalypse shutdown. Yeah, that might be something cool to do. Well, the way you do that is I gotta do Japanese first. And once you get into Japanese, like, well, they gotta fight somebody. You know, and I can't do the English. I can't do the Indians and the English in Singapore because they gave up too quick. Well, it'd be like doing like Americans in 1942 in the Philippines. Like, why bother? You know. And if there's a troop variety, I would do Japanese and Chinese. I think that would be good. But with only one manufacturer making Chinese, I just not very exciting about painting all the same figure. And by Chinese, I mean nationalist. I'm not painting communist Chinese. Yeah, it's back up. They are rebuilding with pictures and some listings. Okay, I think they were a company that actually did a pretty good job of putting pictures of all their stuff. Always, their name always throws me off. You know, early war miniatures, but they make stuff for 1945. Like, I figured, oh, you only do stuff that from 1939 and 40, right? Because mid-war would be 41, 42, 43. I'm overthinking it a little bit. Then I have to look at Indian surnames around the Second World War. Well, I'm going to have my first guy to be named Patel. I don't know how common of a surname that is in the United Kingdom, but here in the United States, Patel is like a larger percentage of Indian people are named Patel than there are English-speaking people named Smith. It's all Patel and Khan. Of course, Khan would be, you know, guys that have some of that mogul in them. You're looking at 15 millimeter U.S. sailors from Eureka for a back of beyond interwar pulpy project. That's a good period. Somebody came with a bunch of that stuff and made it in 20s as well. Well, I can do shit like that because at this small scale, yeah, it's basically a role-playing game. Pretty much. Oh, why you have so many vehicles? I like building them. Doesn't mean they're going to be in a battle. The meat and potatoes of these guys is the infantry troops. Hey, you come across anybody who had any 20 millimeter heads? like for doing head swaps, to swap some of those FAA figures. I hate the heads on the FAA figures. Okay, this guy's cool looking too. Who's this guy? Big Johnson. Juan Son, son of Juan. I want to say somebody made 20 millimeter heads, but I'm thinking Peter Pig has some really cool heads, but they're all 15s. So I've got lots of extra combat guys, not combat guys, platoon 20 guys. I might replace some of their heads with the FA. I'll try it with one guy and see if it's an improvement. So I'm actually okay with most of the FAA stuff other than their heads. I'm gonna add that on here. I've already looked for 20 millimeter heads and didn't do any good. We're gonna do 20 millimeter India. Merlaton. Okay. Those are impossible. God, those are cost prohibitive. But we'll look at a Merlaton. I wonder if Australians did Australians serve anywhere in the Pacific other than on New Guinea? Did the Australians serve in Burma? Because Australians and Indians on the same team would be really interesting. That would be a really interesting conversation you could have with yourself. I'm going to leave it at that. You do the voices in your head. Only from Italians. Oh, okay. You know what figures I don't care for is those CP. They all look like they just got liberated from a death camp. They're extremely. Their faces are just really, really narrow. They need to be fed. Something's wrong with them. Malnourished. If I remember correctly, that's the company that had a lot of offerings similar to Drew's Militia had at the very beginning. Because Drew Militias they make Soviets and they make Americans, and they would make like SS Handschurer guys and SS Wolves and like all these obscure like uber political German type things, and I'm like, what's going on here? Handschurer, whatever those guys are called. I think those are like Muslims in German service or something like that. Just really weird, like specific. Weirdly specific Third Reich shit, you know? Because there's Germans and there's Third Reich shit. I saw a post this morning. It's another one of those liberators of Europe. It's got to be freaking. It's got to be trolls. I can't believe there's that many people out there that would be like, "Oh yeah, the Germans, the liberators of Europe." And somebody that made a comment. Who the hell exactly were they liberating from? And their comment was capitalism and Judeo-Bolshevism. I'm like, bullshit. Like one guy put, I said, that's believable if they hadn't shipped innocent people to death camps. If they hadn't started the war and shipped people to death camps. Oh, and made a deal with commies too. Of course, the Western Allies did that shit too. I wouldn't. I was like, sorry, Stalin, you're gonna have to deal. You're gonna have to lay in this bed you made with Der Fuhrer. You're not getting any Matildas or Shermans. So the saga of the missing Crusaders they still have not appeared, even they said they delivered. Well, they delivered, and then they delivered to a different zip code in a different city. So we'll see. We'll see if I ever get them or I get my money back. That they're not holding any projects up. And the moral of the story is make sure you order things when you don't need them yet. So can I do a Brit named Waddington? Is that allowed? He's going to have a big mustache, just so you know. That doesn't really narrow it down. I got quite a few guys that have mustaches. And he's going to say a lot. Which is spelled harumph. All right. One fresh little rock here. This Big Johnson, he's going to have a big rock. Let's see, where can we put this? It's going to stick. There we go. What was that guy's name you said, by the way? What was that Italian dude's name? I need some Vincenzi. I never got into that movie, Gangs of New York. I know lots of people told me it was really good, just couldn't get into it. People's hairstyles and facial hair is really distracting from that period. I mean, fucking lamb chops that just like, what's wrong with you, man? Speaking of lamb chops, I didn't realize that I wanted to play my Assassin's Creed Greek one and put it up on the new Xbox, and it won't load up. I can't get it to install again. So I was kind of surfing around and realized I had downloaded the one that's in Victorian England and never played it more than 10 minutes. So I've been fooling around with that for a little bit. It's something to do. It's a little disappointed. They don't say "oi" as often as I would have thought they would have said it. Oh, a German? Fuck you. Nazi bastard. Sit down. We're doing Varela. This guy Puerto Rican or Italian? Yes. Well, if I'm gonna do some Puerto Ricans, I gotta use the most. Nah, I'm gonna go back in history because there might be a surname that's really common now that wasn't common back then. So I want to try to be accurate. New Yorican. Hey, New Yorican. I was surfing around the other day and I realized that Peter Pig at some point in the last 2 years have released Macedonian figures because we need another manufacturer making Macedonians. And they look pretty good. I mean, I like Peter Pig. More oink. And their Germans and stuff look really good too. But Peter Pig figures tend to run small, so I wouldn't exactly want Germans that are small. You need big guys. If you do some Chinese, remember that the Cultural Revolution, a number of different surnames dropped by 80% after the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so after Mao, there's a lot less surnames. Okay. Well, they're communists, so they should all have one surname, right? I mean, that's what they're fighting for, equality. Yeah. Make everybody equally indentured. The figures actually look really interesting, but they got a lot of swords. They got a lot of guys with swords, and they got weapons too. It's not like they show up, a sword. They show up on the battlefield with like a big sword, but you can't just raise a bunch of guys and give them swords and be good at it. I mean, that's like you got to be skilled with a sword. Well, to be any good at it. Like, here, have a sword. And like, what do you do with this? I go whack on somebody. You got takes years of practice to like deflect bullets and shit like that. I started watching that 800 or whatever movie. I can't get into it because it's dubbed, and it's dubbed with like these voices that don't go with the figure. I was reading the O'Reilly's book on killing the rising sun, and the narrator, who's not O'Reilly, is some other guy, and when he quotes things that are in an Asian voice, he kind of does an Asian-ish voice. I'm thinking, ooh, I wonder who's going to get pissed about this. I said, well, that's. Oh, you fuck up now. I don't care about that shit. I don't mean any disrespect. That's just kind of, it's part of the experience. Like the guy that plays whatever his name is, the guy that plays if I remember correctly, the guy that plays the sidekick of Doctor Strange, and he also is the guy that plays Kublai Khan in that Marco Polo thing. He looks just like fucking Kublai Khan too. He speaks perfect fucking English. I mean, he's like from like California or something like that. I don't know where the guy's from, but he's like, you know, if you covered your eyes, like that's not somebody from Asia, you know. So I'd be like, hey, you need to sound a little bit more ethnic when you do your parts, man. Yeah, he sounded just like, looked just like Kublai Khan. He's a big boy too. Signs say all you can eat, not you eat all. Foundry may make Chinese, but if they do, they're all in one pose, holding a rifle or something like that in some manner. Actually, I don't mind doing this. I actually don't mind this one taking a while. Scraping this stuff off, I'm not a fan of that. That's just, tedium. Got any other combat miniature American guys to do? Oh, how could we forget Captain Badass himself, Wallace? Sergeant Badass. Sergeant Badass. This down's working. This old brush is working pretty well, actually. Wish there was a little spatula you could use, but precision is key. As somebody said, "Oh, that's legal coins. You can't put your figures on coins." Yeah, you can. What you can't do is modify the coin and then pass it off as a real coin. You can't like modify this penny and turn it into a dime. Like, first of all, that's not very cost effective of your time. And these aren't going back in circulation. We're not going to be passing these off as what, is there going to be like a zinc shortage or some shit like that? You still make pennies? I mean, that's a waste of time making pennies. I don't even use cash. This is what I use cash for. Put them on figures. But even if you use quarters, they'd still probably be cheaper than regular stands. And what would you use a quarter for? A mounted figure? I don't know. But this is where the pennies comes from. I used to use these as my stands for my 20s. So I'm like, well, let's just leave them on temporary stands for the 15s, and we'll pop them off and reuse them. I mean, it's early. Well, it's good because we got a lot of these guys. I'm not going to get to all these guys, but I'm gonna try to get all the Americans done, anyways. Oh, here's another combat miniatures dude, Moran. Guy that brought a M1 carbine to a gunfight. You can say whatever you want about an M1 carbine. You know, you're not going to go deaf firing it, and it has 15 rounds. You know, it's a small round, but I believe it was created to give support troops something other than a 45 to defend themselves. I'd rather have a carbine than a 45. You could more accurate for one, more rounds. How many magazines do you get? Well, you only get this one magazine. Maybe I don't want it so much, you know, but doesn't kick. Decent looking weapon too. Not that that's all important. It is if you're painting them, but good looking weapon. What I haven't been able to figure out is Drew's Militia Drew's Militia / Battlefield. They actually have a couple. They have a couple of sculptors. I think there's a couple of sculptors. I like one guy's sculpts better than the other guy's sculpts, but they're my second favorite figure manufacturer. Well, now there's figure manufacturers now that weren't available back then. I mean, AB does figures. They didn't do them back then, or they had like I think they made Germans with a side of more Germans. They didn't make anybody else. Okay, and then Moran. And then we got this guy. These two. Crawford's a good looking figure, even though he's not combat. He's a good looking figure. And I don't know where this guy. I feel this guy's got a carbine. I think this guy's a platoon 20 guy. Got a grenade hanging from. I don't know if I'd want a grenade hanging from my somewhere. Pull the pin out and you got problems. You got a mess on your hands. Aha, caught myself. Wouldn't put any rocks there. Put a big one there. Oh, of course, a Mortar Man. Mortar Man Morris. Let's not forget him. Oh, like I said, I actually don't mind doing this. The scraping was. We are all the way at the bottom? No way we're at the bottom. Maybe we are. There we go. You guys watch any American sitcoms? Not that I do. We need to find a new one to watch as a family. I've been struggling watching Schitt's Creek. We gave it up one time, and I'm watching it with a daughter, and I'm like, everything's all of the characters are there for it to be much better than it is. It's the writing is just like there's a lot of like missed opportunities. It could be so much better. So we're trying to watch an episode each day, and the girls were like, I don't want to watch another one. It's like, man, we got a lot more seasons to go. We got like 4 or 5 more seasons to watch of this shit. I always wonder if somebody from some other country watches American sitcoms and think that's how America really is. There's probably a little bit of truth in anything. Probably say the same thing about British sitcoms. Not that I've watched very many of them. Shit, we didn't finish the last episode with the daughter of Generation War. I gotta remember to do that. We got about an hour left of that. I think I watched that at our spring break and didn't pick it back up. Four folks, man. Good morning. Nope, let's not forget the rocks. Only gonna do 2 on here. What I'm gonna do when I'm out of this stuff, I guess I'll have to buy something else. This is the first vial. I got 2 other vials of this stuff. It's real granite. Okay, that was the last Combat Miniatures fellow. All right, let's do LT. Jeffers, right? LT, yeah, he's the company commander, right? Company commander? No, that's a captain. He's a platoon commander. LT's a platoon commander. You know, prior to casualties, in a perfect situation, he's a platoon commander. I wonder how much business it cost those people that had all their ducks in a row, all their ducks in one basket. Not their ducks in a row. Had all their eggs in one basket. Good lord. all their eggs in one basket by using that internet that had that internet outage. All those war gamers that, I wonder how much business it cost them. This stuff should dry pretty fast, considering it's not very thick on here. The guy that runs Fighting 15s is pointing out that all the shop owners had to do was press a backup button once every so often. Hence, he was the first bag. Fighting 15s. I wonder if he's the guy that ended up taking. See, the problem is Fighting 15s is they've. I'm thinking, is he the guy that has Gladiator miniatures? Because Gladiator miniatures when I started, then it went to somebody else, and it came back. See if I can remember what this site looks like here. Oh yeah, he's got Gladiator miniatures. Yeah, he's got a nice site. He put all his pictures. He had a lot of troops that didn't have the. Actually, the way he does his troops, people should like. This is how you do troops. This is how you show pictures. You got the Japanese schoolgirl zombies. I wonder if people that are into Japanese schoolgirls like these actually look pretty good. Japanese. That's how you do figures, man. Show pictures of all of them, and you have that like surreal type background. They're Japanese schoolgirls. Why are there some gingers in there? Come on, man. Japanese schoolgirls zombie killers. They're wearing wigs. Yeah, not a single one of them has the same. We got a blue-haired one, a yellow. We got a fuchsia-haired, a ginger, a black-haired one, and a yeah. Yeah, I'm not buying as Japanese. Let's go to their menu. Just before I got into this full force, they carry Coat the Arms paints. Um, the Third Dimension. Yeah, I gotta click on it. What's that? Furries, the game. Cat Girls. Mm. Let's see if I'm into Cat Girls. Probably not. Uh, yeah, yeah. Female figures I'm fine with. Having a tail that's in the way, no. I can't see her tail because of a tail. Okay, this guy had. Did he put all these Aztecs and enemies? Those Aztecs figures from Gladiator look pretty cool. Oh yeah, yeah. This is how you do either. And actually, this blue background is even better than this other one. That's how you do. That's how you do figures. You see exactly what's in there. Um, I came really close to getting these guys for that Blood and Steel. Some of these Afghanistan Russians. Some of this colonial Russian infantry. I don't want to get spread any thinner. This is where I need to be. And those rules are like, they're fine, but they're a little vague for my taste. Like how you love Alsop sculpts and love the Jeff Offman sculpts in the Gladiator range. The biblical he did are fantastic. They are and they aren't. Yeah, they're pretty fantastic. They're similar in style in that they give a lot of the detail. They're the opposite of Essex. Essex like put stuff on there and you have to like decorate it. There you just like it's already decorated. You have to paint them. Nobody beats Alsop though. Alsop's my hero. He might have been a communist. I don't know that he was. Hopefully, he was a nice guy. And I've also heard mixed things. I know he died in a car accident, but I think he was. I know I couldn't have made this up because I could have made something up and it would have been better than this. I think he was working on a car, right? He was in a car accident, but the thing was he was working on a car and the car rolled onto him. I think is how it was. Anyhow, he might have passed away by the time I ever heard about him because I didn't see his figures until probably 93, 94. Yeah, I don't have any of the native Achman ones, but didn't he do like the medievals as well? And I like those guys. I have several of them. They look good. My only problem with the Achman natives is they need to be a little smaller because they got like huge fucking heads, which proportionally that's kind of how some of those folks look like, but they need to be a little bit more diminutive. I mean, the Mayans are really Mayans are really fucking small people, like really small people. Maybe not the warriors. Maybe they had they put all the beefy guys to go beat on each other. But you go to like the Yucatan, those people are like they're on their way to midgetdom. There's some small folks, small folks. At least the ladies are really small. That's where you want to go to a concert. You can see really well no matter where you are. Who's this guy? The Dickerson. Don't be such a Dickerson. Here he is. I don't know that I like this pose. He's a little necky, like, you know. That guy's still around, Achman, or he passed away? Sculptors don't get enough credit. I think he also did the Aztecs and Incans and 28 millimeter foundry Incans and a bunch of fantasy stuff for Metal Magic in Germany. 28 millimeter foundry Incas. I mean, like really big heads on those guys then. Yeah, I got that foundry book on the armies of the 16th century, including all the native stuff. That's an interesting book. But man, I treat that thing like it's made of gold because it costs like it was made of gold. That's an expensive book. That's one of the most expensive books I have. Which means I don't have that many expensive books, but you know, it was like $60 or something like that. Yeah, $60, like, 10 quid. There's 172nd figures by I think it's Strelitz. Strelset. However the F you say them. Strelets. Whatever. They make they make figures for the Crimean War. When I was looking for stuff for that Blood and Steel game for the Crimean War, and they're 50 figure packs or 53 figure packs or whatever the hell they are. Every single pose is different. So they have like 53 different poses in there. And they're Russians, and they're Russians in particular are really interesting looking. They always run those games at our cons because the guys that developed that are from Florida. Just never ended the pirate period. It's a little too, it's about 100 years too late. Now, if they did conquistadors, let's hope they never do conquistadors. I'm pretty sure I could resist it at this point. I'm 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 on this bandwagon for probably the rest of my life. I'm pretty sure we're gonna stay here. There's just there's just too many cool things. There's just way too many cool things. All right, see how many rocks Dickerson gets. Just give something different to put on his stand other than just the tufts. We'll get a refill of this. Be right back. Yeah, I was looking through all the Alsop figures that are carried by that, what a Valor Forge Games or whatever, they Valor Games, or I was talking about that earlier in the week that I found they were trading on eBay. I guess they got the molds and they got all the stuff. So they got Marines I didn't get. By the Japs, I'd probably rebuy a lot of the figures. The Japs, I have a really soft metal. I've lost a few rifles. Looking through the modern figures, I really hadn't thought about them much. Not that I'm going to get them, but well, they got troops for Grenada, Afghanistan. You know, the original Afghanistan, not the one that we got mixed up in. I guess it's not the original Afghanistan. The second, actually, technically, the original Afghanistan's Alexander. The second one is the one the Brits walked into in the 1800s. Russia's number 3. I guess we got the fourth Afghanistan, whatever. For this, the third Afghanistan, in that case, the Soviets and the Soviet invasion of that. Then they got Falklands, which I'm surprised they make figures for, considering it's such a small period. Was it even a year? I don't know. RGs and the Brits. Guess if I wanted to paint a bunch of FALs, that'd be the one to get. Except the British use inch pattern, and I think the Argentinians use metric. Which I don't think that means they can use the same ammunition. I could be wrong. There might be some play in one of them or the other. But this is a nice figure. Nice sculpting. Nice looking little bandolier. Cute bugger. No, we're on our way to finishing the Americans. So it's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I got 21 Americans. Oh, we need more. We need more of them. Oh, 22, 23. We got the 30 cal guys. What else do they make? They make Israelis and Palestinians. And I think they make some stuff for Ireland and stuff. They make gangs or something like that. Modern police forces. No, Hopefully they keep them around. I wouldn't mind picking up some Afghanis or something like that for an imagination thing if I ever get around to it. But, you know, that also uses 20mm stuff, so. Of course, to play that light and loose. That's all tongue-in-cheek, make-believe crap. For me. Light and loose. Well, I actually don't miss playing DBA. I do miss pulling out Odago, though, and having fun with him. Can't really have any dogs in here unless they're mine dogs. They dog go boom. Hey, keep it down over there. I don't need to have any real pets. I can just have my pets on the miniature pets. All right, Crawford. And then I could probably dull coat those guys now and not do it after the other stage. I could probably do that now. So that's probably reasonable. Did I move that dull coat to by itself? Hopefully I did. It should be up here since it's not really a color. Is it this, the matte varnish? Yeah. And we're just going to use acrylic because these guys do have 2 coats of spray Model Master semi-gloss lacquer that I don't want that to reactivate and possibly cloud the detail, etc. And hey, get these done so we can take some pictures with some Shermans, man. I got lots of Shermans for these guys to take pictures of. I have a bunch of pictures of America, so everybody will think I'm a flag shagger. I remember that. You flag shagger, you. Terry. BAR with the legs folded up. I don't really like this pose or this figure, but he'll work. You the second BAR guy I have? Oh, I have a BAR guy that whose barrel broke. So I have to go through and, well, I got a lot of figures to paint. I don't need to be buying any, but I do like the idea of looking at figures to buy and then not buying them. It is kind of entertaining. It's like looking through the TV guide, not watching the show. Like, oh, let me see what's on, and not watch that. But I got a guy that's got a BAR that's the BAR broke on it. But I could use another one because I got two. And that's got to be a pretty impressive weapon for the First World War, but for the Second World War, a 20-round magazine, just, that doesn't really cut it. And you fire that thing, I don't know if you can fire it in bursts. I know you can fire it single shot, but 20 rounds doesn't cut it. You better have a lot of ammo with you. I think that's heavy. I think that weapon's heavy as shit too, if I remember correctly. Which sometimes is bad. It's a bad idea until you're firing it, and then you're like, man, I'm glad this thing's that heavy because it doesn't kick as much. Stay on target. The advantages of having a heavy weapon. But it can't put a beaten zone down. So of all of the machine guns in the Second World War that I can think of at this moment, all the light machine guns, or the squad level machine guns, the only one that can put down a beaten zone is the German ones, because they're belt fed. So this guy can fire a single shot or put down a little spray square, which I think you'd use it most of the time anyways. You know, you see a beaten zone, people aren't going to zip across that. Unless they're Russian or Japanese. All right. That's Terry. Who's up next? Young. Guy with a Thompson. Quite a bit of guys with a Thompsons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 guys with Thompson. That's not. It's what the scenario called for. gonna use little boy's room. We'll be right back. Jeez. Let's see if we got an update. Yeah, it keeps moving over. If it keeps moving that way, it'll end up hitting Louisiana like it always seems to. Louisiana, the Panhandle. All right. Let's put this back on here. The problem with it is there's one viewer and it could be me. Well, I got to have this up just in case we get disconnected. I'll know that I get disconnected. You guys can't tell me because, I'm disconnected. Unintentionally disconnected. Still here. Just eating ice cream. Yes. What flavor? You could tell a lot about somebody about what flavor ice cream they're eating. Beans and toast flavor. It's funny. One of my favorite ice creams I've ever had was this Asian. It was a Pan Asian restaurant, and they had like this red bean ice cream. It was actually really freaking good. And I've had ice cream that's made out of taro. That tastes really good too. And I guess that's rootish. So, you know. Viennetta. What the hell? All right, now we got to look that up. What the hell's Viennetta? Viennetta ice cream. Okay, let's see what we got here. Good humor makes Viennetta. What is this? Why was Viennetta discontinued? What type of ice cream is Viennetta? Smooth vanilla cream between crisp chocolate flavor layers. Okay. I'm not a chocolate fan, but I would eat that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I don't like chocolate because it's bitter. You know, like the IPA of food. I can eat it if I have to, but you know, it's funny. The only ice cream that's chocolate like that I would like is coffee. Good coffee ice cream is pretty good. And it's a shame that coffee doesn't taste like coffee ice cream. Because then I would drink more coffee, that's for sure. I actually encountered somebody. I don't know who this demented individual is. But they don't like the smell of coffee. Like, how do you not like the smell of coffee? Coffee smells wonderful. I can see not wanting the taste of it. It doesn't taste very good. Like, it's like dirt drippings, you know. But bean juice. They have a little place in the grocery store that's like in the international aisle, so to speak, and they've got this area that's British, which is just a fancy way for saying Indian food, because it's all, you know, curry and stuff like that. But they have this stuff that I've always been wanting to try, and it's really high in calorie, whatever, and it's like lemon curd, and it just like, it sounds like it'd be wonderful, you know. But I love lemon stuff. Our chocolate's a little sweeter. We don't put the vomit flavor like on it they do in America. I'm not gonna. I don't like the taste. I don't like taste chocolate. I don't like taste chocolate. You know, I don't like. You know, Cadbury's always been better than Hershey's. Hershey's isn't worth a shit. You know, and the Swiss stuff's even better. So, my dad, when I was younger, we'd go to the grocery store. He'd always pick up a bar of chocolate. He had a chocolate thing. I don't, but you know, especially if it has nothing in it. But if you put like, you know, stuff in it, filler, aggregate in chocolate, it makes it better. And the last stuff that he ended up liking was that Hershey's Special Dark, and I'm like, I would rather eat dirt than eat dark chocolate. I hate dark chocolate. But the Cadbury stuff was good, especially if it had hazelnut. Did it put hazelnut in? I think it's something like that. Cadbury. But probably just like everything else in England, Cadbury's probably not made in the UK anymore. Just like everything in the US, nothing's made here anymore. Ingredient Hershey's put in here. First found in rancid by Hershey tastes like shit. Yeah. Not a fan, man. I get you. Not a fan. That lemon curd stuff any good? Probably. It's probably like a dick. I love lemon stuff. Lemon stuff's fucking great. I never have like those uber sweet stuff like that. What are you having for lunch? Ice cream? I like ice cream, but the problem is I start having ice cream and whatever container it comes in becomes one serving. You know, it's kind of like the whole cereal milk thing. Cereal milk. Oh, I got milk left over. Got to put more cereal. Ah, now I don't have enough milk. Got to put more milk. Next thing you know, you eat the whole damn thing. Hey, eating's my addiction. It's better than fucking crack. It's better for you. Like you're better off being fat than smoking. You know. Lemon curd or lemon cheese for the more bready version is quite good on a slice of toast. Yeah, I better be careful with that. I love lemon cookies. I mean, you know, fruit stuff's great, man. It's nature's candy. As long as it doesn't taste fake. Because fakey fruit stuff's no good. Had roasted turkey and mozzarella sandwich with some pickles on it, some crinkle cut chips on the side. Oh, crinkle. Which one did you say? Crisp, yeah. Chips. What the hell you call fries? You probably don't. You guys don't call fries anything. I don't know. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with mozzarella. I prefer if somebody says, "What's your favorite cheese?" and I like cheese. What category of cheese? Generally. There's lots of different. I would say cheddar. I think cheddar is the best one. I mean, I don't know that it's even close. I think cheddar pretty much just blows everything away because there's so many variations of it. Variation. What the hell am I? Drink. Cheddar would be my go-to cheese. If I buy cheese for sandwiches, it's cheddar. Medium, mild, sharp. I don't care. Mozzarella just like melts really well, but like it needs more depth. It's flat. If it was music, it'd be flat. And American cheese, I don't touch that shit. If you guys eat that, I don't know who the fuck eats that. They put that on said that was bologna in the 1970s in the schoolyard. That's it. Chips are the thick ones. Fries are the weedy little anorexic things from Mickey D. McD's. That's one of the few things that are still worth a damn. I mean, it's fried cardboard, but it tastes pretty good. Back when it was affordable. But I shouldn't be eating that stuff anyways. But everything else, it's still it's you can say whatever you want about McDonald's. It's still the best Scottish food. And I've heard people that have gone to Scotland and they go, I said, so how was the food? Because I hear Scottish food was created on a dare. And they said, "Oh no, it's great. It's seafood." And I'm like, "There's seafood up there?" I'm like, "Well, they do a shit job of marketing that here because Scotland is known in the United States for having, like stuff you don't put in your mouth. You know, that's good." America, yeah, nobody has that. Nobody has that. Nobody eats that stuff anymore. KFC gets marked down for not salting their fries. Yeah, there's a chain here that people like a lot called Chick-fil-A, and they have these waffle fries. I don't care for them. They don't taste like anything. If you had like McDonald's fries with them, but I don't eat that kind of stuff very often. And old Rick hates sweet potato fries. Man, sweet potato fries are freaking great. I don't know. He must have got dropped on his head early on because sweet potato. If there's an option for sweet potato fries, I always take sweet potato fries instead. And you don't need anything on them. You don't need cinnamon, sugar. You don't put no damn sugar on stuff. That's good to go. KFC used to be good in the 70s. You get that little fork. You get your little drumsticks or whatever as a kid. And you get that little, the mashed potatoes with the gravy on it that was very peppery. And you get a little fork, which is kind of like, and a biscuit. They had one thing for in the late 80s, maybe it was the mid 80s. For a long time, they had like these little tiny little burgers that were made of chicken called Chicken Littles. And those were excellent. Back in the day, they were excellent. Maybe if you had one now, you'd be like, this is awful. But, your palate changes. And I think that, at least in my case, I want stuff that the biggest crime is to have food that's bland. Other than it tasting bad, which is usually not the case. If some place makes bad food, you don't go there. That's how you avoid that. But sometimes bland food, that's like a, not a fan of that. You said turkey and mozzarella, and it made me think of this one place that has these pre-made sandwiches. And one thing that makes it really, really good at that place is they have this balsamic drizzle, and they sell it. It's like a little olive oil container, except it's balsamic, so it's kind of thick, and the brown color that balsamic glaze is. And you just go over that, use that instead of like mayo or what any kind of a condiment. And it's spectacular. It brings like another like fuck. I'm getting hungry. Damn it. Greatest fast food experience I ever had was a chili dog from Sonic. Oh my God. In the States? I forced my aunt to go through the drive-through twice, get another one, as I remember the one before we even left the lot. Oh my God. I can't have chili made by who knows who. That and tuna salad. Or chicken salad, or egg salad. I gotta see your credentials to see what you're putting in it. It's just too easy to like hide a finger or something like that, especially in chili. And I like chili, but I want to see somebody's credentials. They made the chili. Like meatloaf. Meatloaf is the same way too. I don't mind meatloaf, but I'm not getting meatloaf at a shady. It's like sushi. I don't have a problem with sushi, but I want to see your credentials. Are you really Japanese? I don't want to eat your sushi. Young. He'd be the oldest guy in the squad. Some guy named Young. Yeah. Fast food used to be inexpensive, bad for you, but cheap. And now it's like, I said that twice. What I meant to say is, it used to be inexpensive, bad for you, but tastes good. And now it doesn't taste good. It's not inexpensive, and it's still bad for you. the COVID debacle did a big number on fast food here in the United States. I don't know, maybe the chef greasy teenager working that day had a connection with God. It's hard to get a good hot dog. And that's one of those things I don't eat out because, like, you know, if you buy them at the store, you can get 8 of them for the price of one. I mean, sure, they're not cooked, but you get 8 of them for the price of one. And the only experience I've had with a hot dog that's very memorable is I remember when I was a kid, there was this hotel chain called Howard Johnson's. I mean, shit, it hadn't been around, and it was around in the '80s. But they had a restaurant next to it. I don't know exactly how that came up, but and they had ice cream. So they had however many flavors of ice cream. They had banana ice cream. I freaking love banana ice cream. Anyways, I was a kid, you know, talking like 6 years old, 6, maybe even 7. I think after that, just stopped doing it. But they had these little hot dogs, and they came in like this little boat. So it almost looks like a landing craft. Of course, it's made out of, you know, just cardboard that the hot dog would sit in there. And I think the hot dog might have been split in half, or at least somewhat open-faced hot dog, so to speak. I remember them being really good. But I don't know if things were just better that way. I don't know. Maybe. But that place always had that. I remember that hot dog and I guess I would just eat it plain because I could do relish and I could do sauerkraut. I like sauerkraut, but sauerkraut, the place didn't have sauerkraut back then. But I'm not putting in I'm not putting any of those other condiments on it. That's for sure. You know, good German mustard's good, but they don't have that at that place. Now, let's see if we can knock out this guy and these other 4 guys, and then we'll call it a wrap. And then we'll wrap up the Americanos. I think I hear somebody. The wife's moving around. Quieter in the morning than normal. The daughter decided to do a sleepover. Wonder how zany it's going to be out there today. Higgs. This guy has a unique face for that being something really weird. Anderson, son of Anders. Good one. Time to clean this off again. It's actually working really well. Probably the easiest time I've had putting this goop on figures ever. So I'll have to remember what type of a brush I used because that worked really well. I don't have a wounded guy for my Americans though. And then you can't do the saving private whatever, Private Peterson or whatever. Go and save a guy. I got a wounded German guy, and they actually made some wounded Brits that I don't own by Combat. Combat makes some stretcher folks. So we should be on tomorrow morning, again, weather permitting. I don't think it's going to get, I think it's Monday's going to be the day it's going to be really shady. And we'll see every 3 hours. Hopefully it keeps moving over towards the panhandle. But we got to pick up the garage anyways because we got to get our game on. And I'm going to take, when I get these guys done, I'm going to take some photos with the other. I've been using only the one map from from the map folks. He sent me another one that I don't like as good, as well, as much. All the above. I haven't taken any photos on it. It's a little bit more light green looking. But I'm going to need to make one. I just don't know how I'm going to make it just yet. I haven't decided. Probably a bed sheet. As they do make some pretty affordable canvas, but I'm not adding, what do you call that stuff? The caulk to it. Because then it's too thick. Then the whole magnet thing with the trees won't work. I think the canvas is going to be too thick. But there is a hardware store that sells those canvas mats, and they're pretty inexpensive. So I might get a little one just to see how it paints and holds up. But if it's too thick and the trees don't work through it, then it's not going to really work. We got this guy and then the mortar team. Mortarman Morris. Time for another wipe down. That mortar wasn't up on the ground anyways. I could use some goop underneath there to tie it together. Oh, well, if anybody needs some fucking rocks, it's this dude. This guy's gonna have tufts on that guy. All right, who we got here? Willard and Honus. Let's do Honus. Honus first. Three-man 60mm gun crew. One guy is loading. The other guy is the gunner. What's the third guy do? Maybe a second loader.